I'm here with Commissioner of the Texas Division of Workers' Compensation, Ryan Brannan, and we're going to talk about the passage of House Bill 2053, which has now been signed by Governor Abbott and takes effect immediately. Is that correct?
I believe so, yes.
This legislation has a little bit of history. Can you give us a little background of how this legislation basically got written and is here today?
Well, sure. There were actually two separate issues that were happening that kind of led to the creation of this legislation. The first was Commissioner David Maddox, who was the insurance commissioner, and I both started around the same time and agreed that if a area of the agency was doing workers' compensation work, that person should be reporting to the workers' compensation commissioner, just as if they were doing insurance work, should report to the insurance commissioner. So we had agreed about a year and a half ago now to change the reporting structure for the workers' compensation fraud investigators to me as opposed to Commissioner Maddox or any insurance commissioner. In doing so, they necessarily moved out of the insurance code and into the labor code. So we wanted to clarify that what they were doing, they could still be doing even if they moved into a different code. So that was one track that we wanted to accomplish with a piece of legislation. And then the other was I don't want to say outcry, but a public concern about the funding structure for the prosecutor in Travis County regarding Texas Mutual and Texas Mutual's direct payment of that prosecutor. And so in the bill, we included language that would allow us to embed a prosecutor on the chance that we were able to get funding to do so.
Texas Mutual had a very cozy relationship, a very successful relationship with the Travis County DA's office. Is all of that going away, or how is that all going to play out?
So in addition to the piece of legislation, Senator Watson and the leadership of the budget writers and the legislature all agreed that there should be some check or balance in place regarding the funding and the mechanism for prosecuting workers' compensation fraud. So with the governor signing the budget as well as signing House Bill 2053, we now have a mechanism in place to continue having a prosecutor in Travis County. The difference is they're now going to be embedded from the Department of Insurance Division of Workers' Compensation and funded through our maintenance taxes and be employees of the agency, not the county. So now, instead of directly sending investigations to the prosecutor, the carriers will be sending them to us. We will continue the investigation, and then if we see that those should be moved forward to a prosecution, then we will send them to the prosecutor. And hopefully that extra step in the system will create some transparency and fairness for everybody.
And we're talking all kinds of work comp insurance fraud coming from Texas Mutual and coming from everyone else. Instead of going directly to the Travis County DA's office, it'll be coming through your office first.
Yes, that's correct. And most of the companies have already been doing that except for Texas Mutual. So this just brings Texas Mutual in line with the other carriers in the state.
Texas Mutual was so successful, though. It seems like their prosecution rate was very high. Is this whole new process going to be watering down their success and, helping yours somewhat, or what are your feelings of the future?
Well, we hope not, obviously. We're hoping to have a very successful relationship with the prosecutor in Travis County. We recently met with Travis County officials and discussed our hope for a seamless transition when we flip on the lights on September 1st with the new funding structure and the new FTEs, or government speak for full-time employees. We don't think it'll water down anything. In fact, we think that with the renewed push towards investigating workers' compensation fraud, as well as the investigators reporting to the Workers' Compensation Commissioner, that there'll be some additional accountability and that we'll have absolutely more and better results than we did before. Anecdotally, I was hearing across the state, everywhere I would go when they found out what I did for a living, I was told, boy, do I know somebody that's giving it to you. And that was always just in regards to fraud. Everybody seemed to know some provider or some employer or some worker who was defrauding the system. So we went and checked the real numbers and found NICB put out some numbers and found that workers' compensation fraud basically amounts to 25% of all property and casualty fraud out there for a total of $7.2 billion a year. So we're hoping that once we get this unit up and running, that some good results early will get to some good press, some awareness, and hopefully have some behavioral changes in the marketplace and ultimately reduce premium for employers.
Do you think there had been any reluctance on the side of carriers to report it, thinking, oh, it's not going to do us any good?
I do believe so. If you go look at the numbers of what was being investigated and prosecuted through the department, through the state, and over into the different DA's offices across the state, the numbers weren't very high. So we're hoping with the renewed focus that we'll be able to increase those numbers.
You've got a couple of vacancies. Tell us how quickly you plan to bring in employees.
Well, the governor's office put us all in a hiring freeze until September 1st, but we did recently get word from the governor's office that we can post before September 1st. So we're really hoping probably mid-July to have the positions up as far as the vacant ones, so that we can start the interview process and get everything filled out right at or as close to September 1st as we possibly can.
Last question. You're an insurance company. You've got a case of insurance fraud, very egregious. Where do you go with it? You're coming to, they're certainly not going to send it to the commissioner, but who do they need to report to here?
Well, they would still send it to the Department of Insurance, as they always would, and then the fraud unit at the Department of Insurance will then pass it through to the investigators that are doing the workers' compensation investigation. So the TDI fraud unit as a whole will remain intact. The only thing that's changing internally is the reporting structures of certain individuals.
All right. Wish you the most success. Good luck.
Thank you.
Commissioner Brannan.